This is the situation now. Hundreds of machines have stopped working. There are no orders. All of them have stopped working.
我真的要疯了。
I'm going crazy. I've gone to college in vain and studied for over 10 years. I got nothing besides wasting my parents' hard-earned money and my youth. So what if I go to school? What if you pass the doctoral and postgraduate exams? I can't even find a job. I used to be like most people, thinking that studying hard would lead to a bright future. I have nothing now. I am penniless and completely broke. I don't know where my future lies. I'm going crazy. As the Sino-US trade war escalates, China's foreign trade companies face unprecedented challenges. A large backlog of goods and a sharp drop in overseas orders have forced many companies to choose to suspend operations or shorten working hours after the May Day holiday. Experts point out that if high tariffs are maintained for a long time, China may face large-scale business closures and bankruptcies, leading to unemployment. The situation in first-tier cities Guangzhou and Shenzhen is not optimistic either. Let's discuss this topic today. But before we do, we would like to invite you to subscribe. Your support is our greatest motivation and allows us to bring you more valuable content. Now, moving on. If I tell you the real situation in Guangzhou, you may not believe it. Many central enterprises, state-owned enterprises, and public institutions such as specific groups have been unable to pay salaries for half a year, and layoffs are also in a mess. Some people want to quit their jobs but are afraid they won't be able to find a job outside, and if they leave, they won't get paid. Those who are used to working within the system cannot adapt to the pace of private enterprises. Don't be fooled by those glittering office buildings in Zhujiang New Town. Many of them are empty or have shared workstations. Starbucks and McDonald's are filled with middle-aged people pretending to go to work, sitting in front of their computers for most of the day. We opened a grocery store in Guangzhou for 7 years to support a family of 4. But in 2025, the business was so bad that we didn't know how to make a living. Our grocery store was transferred for $4,000 7 years ago. It's located in an urban village in Baiyuan district. When we took over the business a few years ago, we never expected that such a small shop could actually support a family. My husband was still at work then, and I was looking after the shop with the children. Although we don't have a mortgage or car loan, maintaining the rent of $11,000 a year is our biggest problem. When I first took over the store, the business was good. My husband worked during the day and stayed up late to look after the store at night. We took turns staying in the store for more than 10 hours. Every morning when I turn on my phone, I see a payment notification for $140 after midnight. So, my husband became increasingly motivated, quit his job, and stayed by my side from 1 or 2 in the morning until 3 or 4. Life is like this. It won't make people unable to survive, but it won't make people live too well. The blogger said that the overall environment has changed dramatically, and the small shop's turnover is less than half of what it used to be. The family tries to be frugal to maintain the annual rent of $11,000. My husband said that after doing business for so many years, he never thought he would have to go out to work again, and running a shop has become a side job. Is it true that ordinary people like us can no longer make it in Guangzhou?
我彻底被社会淘汰了。
I have been eliminated by society. I thought about this recently because this is my 8th month unemployed. I was unemployed voluntarily in the early stages, but now I am unemployed passively. I have used all the recruitment software and cannot find a job. I have not arranged an interview for tomorrow. It is tough because I used to work in the liberal arts field, which is very replaceable. In addition, I am old, unmarried, and childless, so employers generally care about this. Because the cost of employment is high now, if I get married and have children as soon as I enter the company, although this is not very realistic, they will definitely consider this issue. She said that now that the tariff war between China and the United States has started, some companies will be under tremendous pressure, especially in Shenzhen, where foreign trade accounts for a large proportion. Many companies have some foreign trade business, so she thinks it will be more challenging to find a job in the future. This blogger lost her job. She thought about everyone discussing low-cost entrepreneurship and wondered if she could set up a stall to sell some goods. She drove around the county town to see if there was any place to set up a stall. She happened to see a man driving a tricycle to sell cold noodles. Later, the urban management came and said stalls were not allowed there. The man drove the tricycle in front and the urban management chased behind. The blogger said the scene deeply stimulated me.
去离我家5公里外的一个银泰城，我想
2 days later, I went to Yantai City, 5 kilometers away from my home, to see if there were any good jobs selling clothes or gold. When I arrived, I found some people except for the food place on the first floor. In the other places selling gold and clothes, every salesperson stood at the door, looking far away, looking around, and there was no one. There was a phone number on the recruitment information, but I didn't make a call and returned to the car in despair. One day, I wondered what I was going to do. I drove to the market in my county and asked the management department. I asked, "Sir, how do you rent a stall in this market?" The old man said, "We don't have any stalls now. They are all full. If you want to do it, we will have a tender in June so that you can come and look." Curious, I asked, "Sir, how much does it cost to rent a stall here annually?" He said that the price of the stall depends on the specific location. A better location ranges from $20,000 to $30,000, and some cost $40,000. A slightly more remote location costs about $7,000. I thought about it and realized that this was not a low-cost business. In my opinion, a vegetable market was something you could enter whenever you wanted, and you could pay a few dozen dollars a month in rent. I thought it was too simple.
原来是不是只有我的老公在失业？
It's been half a year. Is my husband the only one who is unemployed? We are both in a bad mood today. 2 days ago, we thought he would find a job soon. The technical department said it was okay when they interviewed him, and then HR said it was also okay when they interviewed him. Maybe the leader was not very satisfied. When he returned, HR added him to WeChat and briefly introduced you to the company, right? We thought, wow, is he going to be hired soon? Then HR told him to file a report first. We thought just wait, but it turns out that the leader has a veto. When he first lost his job, I was really worried because I think it's normal for people to be unemployed. You won't lose your job unless you're in the government system. I thought he would find a job. I thought he would find one within 6 months. It's been almost 6 months now.
30岁失业。
I am 30 years old, unemployed for 23 days, and lying at home for 23 days. Once people experience not working, they really don't want to work. However, I still have to rely on my labor to support my family for someone like me who doesn't have a husband to help me. Fortunately, I am alone and can feed the whole family and make a living. It's not that I don't want to find a job, but I have been struggling with what to do, and I haven't settled down. Nothing is easy in the current environment. I want to make a living, but I have too many considerations. Working is stable, but I don't want to be an office worker step by step. This is why I've been spending more than 10 days at home. It's really lovely to stay at home without working. I don't have to worry about food and drink, and I have enough savings to spend. But I can't stop working at such a young age. Some time ago, my sister gave me an idea. Before I find a suitable job I like, I can set up a stall to sell breakfast and make sandwiches. If I can continue to do this, I can add soy milk and other things. While setting up the stall, I can consider what to do. This way, I will feel more fulfilled and have a source of income. The most important thing is that I won't fall into a state of anxiety all the time. China's unemployment rate has remained high in recent years. The National Bureau of Statistics of China released data on March 17th, indicating that the National Urban Survey unemployment rate in February was 5.4%. However, experts believe the unemployment rate may be much higher than this. Ding Shui-liang, an honorary retired professor of the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, published an article stating that according to estimates by several experienced observers, the actual employment rate of China's fresh graduates in 2024 will be around 30 to 35%, and the total number of unemployed people will be around 30 million.
说出来可能挺丢人的。
It may be embarrassing to say this, but I have graduated for 2 years, and not only have I not saved any money, but I also owe thousands of dollars. I remember when I just graduated, I was standing at the train station with my suitcase, thinking I was so awesome. I dared to go alone, but what happened? I was cheated out of my deposit by an agent. I was fired as a salesperson after working for 3 days, and I was cheated out of thousands of dollars by a pyramid scheme. The worst thing was when I had to eat last-minute rice balls at a convenience store and hide them from the clerk. Now I am too lazy to say miserable. Last month, my mother called and asked me how I was doing, and I stared at the ceiling and lied. I'm fine. In fact, I have been unemployed for 9 months. What is the scariest thing? I don't even know what I want to do anymore. I want to go back home, but a voice always says, hold on a little longer, you have to prove it to them. Yesterday, I didn't eat again and suddenly cried while lying down. It turns out that people really cry when they are hungry, not because they are hungry for food, but because they are hungry for hope. Graduates are unemployed. Graduates from Hubei University cannot find jobs in Shenzhen and live in tents. Let me share with you an interview experience I had today. It was very, very strange. I was interviewing for a design position. He told me that the design ability is just the basis here, and I was also required to be able to model and render. Generally speaking, modeling, rendering, and design are actually 3 positions. Now it's 3 in 1, and guess how much he offered me? 321 reveals the answer, $1,100. Can you believe that the salary for 3 positions is only $1,100? Is the design industry in Shenzhen so competitive? Or are all industries so competitive this year? I'm speechless. The US-China tariff war has begun, with the US imposing up to 245% tariffs on Chinese imports. The tariff war's impact on China's economy and employment continues to emerge. Friends, recently the US tariffs have been imposed, and all the factories in Zhejiang are like earthquakes. Although our factory does not engage in foreign trade, our friends who export home appliances upstream have not received orders for a long time, and the orders have dropped sharply. Now, these people turn around and rush into the domestic market, and the domestic market is directly rolled up into a dough twist. Now, the entire industry chain is shaking. When the upstream coughs, we, the downstream factories, even have difficulty breathing. The machines in all the factory workshops are not stopped, and all the salespeople are out to grab orders. But the market is so small that more than 20 people squeeze in to grab a bowl of rice, which is terrible. Do you know how many factories in Shenzhen have stopped production? Now, many enterprises are closing down silently. Everyone is asking, what is the future of the manufacturing industry? Will the factories still have orders this year? Can I still do it? Someone said you can do any industry now, don't open a factory. This was told by the owner of a factory that has been running for more than 10 years. Then why is the factory economy in Shenzhen so bad now? Are they unable to operate anymore? It's because the rent is too high, coupled with severe overcapacity, a significant reduction in trade orders, and an increasing number of taxes and management fees. The profits of enterprises are being squeezed to the point where they are almost unable to breathe. Competition is becoming increasingly fierce, and no one can make any money due to price competition. Many factories moved to Southeast Asia or further away because they could no longer sustain themselves. People born in the 1970s and 1980s are no longer young. Do you think there is still a future for factories in Shenzhen? It's difficult. There is nothing to do, and I have to get off work early every day. How many small and medium-sized enterprises have been crushed by this year's trade war? There were no orders for the factory, and the boss was very nervous. In fact, the situation for us workers is not much better. We won't get the guaranteed salary if things continue like this. There is really no way out. I haven't worked overtime this month, and the factory arranges daily shift rest days. What should I do if this continues? There is nothing to do in the factories nowadays, whereas in previous years, every factory entrance was covered with recruitment notices. Now, the doors are closed day and night, and no factory is working overtime. It's very quiet. What is the situation in factories this year? There are hundreds of factories in the industrial parks here, but no one is working overtime. If this continues, how will we workers survive? Do you know why so many bosses in Shenzhen lose money every month but still refuse to close their factories? Telling the truth is heartbreaking. In the current environment, machines can only be sold as scrap metal, and the bosses are reluctant to do so. The inventory cannot be sold just like that. The most important thing is how to repay the bank loan if the business closes. What can I pay back? Closing down means the next step is to delay payment, and making a comeback will be even more difficult. Therefore, they can only barely maintain it in this way. They use orders to fill the hole with their left hand and sales to maintain cash flow with their right hand. The waist of their trousers is like tightening of their necks. Even if they lose money, they must hold on until the inventory is digested. By the time they clear out the inventory, they can either wait for a turnaround or sell their machines at a low price and exit the market in tears. But now they don't even dare to think about lying down. That's all for today. If you enjoy our content, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with a friend. We appreciate your support, and we'll see you next time.